exercising the right of my own mind, and one of the things I decide is I don't want to be there, I become a bad person. How'd that happen? If God granted me the right to free will, and I will not to be religious, am I still bad, or am I obedient to God in my own way? Do you understand the trick, how thin the veil between logic and illogic is, and the borderline of confusion that man is walking on because he has been compliant? The point I'm reaching at is you have allowed yourself to fall into this position by opening yourself up and making yourself available for too much in your pursuit of so little. All you want is the truth. But people who hold the truth won't tell you the truth. And they won't tell you they don't know the truth. They don't even understand the concept of in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. They wouldn't understand if you said, I say Bereshit bara. The Hebrew word doesn't say no in the beginning, it says Bereshit bara. Do you understand that? Well, I don't speak Hebrew. Then you don't understand the Bible. Then take off the collar. Take off the title reverend, minister, preacher, pastor, and step down off the pulpit. Because you will be giving us bad light, corrupt information if you don't know what you're talking about. Because you're not talking merely to my body, you are also talking to my soul. And I want to believe you because you're a human and you may be a link back to Adam and back to God for me. Only because we allowed ourselves to be cut off. Only because you walk into a church and look up and you see a Michelangelo impression of God and it cuts you off. So you don't have what Jesus Christ had when you can say Jesus, Joseph, Mary, and back to David. You don't have that. So you don't have a link back to Adam, who's a son of God. There's a gap. And that gap is ignorance. Not ignorance in the derogatory sense of the word, but ignorance in ignoring the facts of who and what you are. And trace yourself back to your greatest point and start there. Not at your weakest point. I am down and out, so I need God. I am depressed, so I need God. I am poor, so I need God. Not then. You don't need God then. Then you need man. Man helps people not be poor, not God. Men and women help people be depressed or get an analyst and get you out of that depression, not God. You hear me? You don't need God until you're at your high point, when you're reaching. And you know where you find that God at? You know where that God is at? That God is, see this lady, that lady sitting right there? Your God is sitting right in front of you. Because that's your mother. Right? Okay, okay. That's God. I don't know who you are. Philadelphia, we give you some birthday to I know. Well, you know I know. That's your God. As the person in your family, familiar, closeness, that person behind you is your link to God. And this is not blasphemy, fool. This is the Bible. Because they made Mary identify Jesus' genealogy in the Bible. They made them name each person all the way back to Adam. But you won't do it. They don't want you to look back to your mother and your grandmother. You know what they'll call that? That's ancestral worship. That's voodoo. That's black magic. Well, If I'm going to do any kind of magic, it's going to be black. It ain't going to be white magic, black as I am, that's for sure. That's step one. But why, when I want to touch base with my genealogy and my blood, who begot, I got to be Santeria. I got to be Yoruba. I got to be some kind of devil worshiper or some type of evil thing. But it's all right when a Caucasian walks into the church and he looks up at a picture of Christ, he can feel a sense of blood identity. He can feel a link. So the open arms is familiar. So when a statue of Christ stands like this in a Caucasian church with a Caucasian image, there's a familiarity there that ain't there with me. I got to be taught to love other than myself. And you want to know why there's black on black crime? Because I've been taught to love other than myself as God, other than my image as God, other than my complexion as God. And thus everybody outside of that image and that color and complexion must be the devil. So kids feel it's all right to be evil because it's inbred in them. But if I put up an Egyptian statue the same height as the statue in the Catholic Church, but for some reason the Egyptian statue stands out as pantheism or paganism, but the statue on the cross like this on my neck with Christ on it, this ain't pantheism. I can walk around town with this. I can have one this big. I can carry one on my back and tote it down through Edenton with Christ on it, and people will step aside and go, no explanation. But if I carried one of them Amun-Ra statues to town, paganism, pantheism, people bug out. What is that? Conditioning. Conditioning that my image is bad and your image is good. And I must get my image in my child's head before you get your image in my child's head. And my child wants to be what they can't. Sisters, extensions does not mean your hair is straight. It doesn't. Doing this doesn't mean a thing. You're still woolly head, kinky, nappy in the kitchen. And what's so beautiful about that is that if you was driving down a road and trees were in front of you and you looked up, you'd see the planet Earth has an afro. It might shock you. If you look around, you'll see that there ain't but one group of people on the planet with that kind of hair. Everybody else got the same kind of hair. So if there is one God, a unique being, and created somebody in his image and after his likeness, then whoever that person is in the image and after his likeness, there has to be unique. There has to be something that says, you're God. And everybody else are your children. That don't mean you don't love them. But they have to honor you. That their days may be long. They have to honor this hair, crown. A lot of you people are too young to remember. The main grease that your grandmama and them, just leave. And as you can tell by the color of my bed, I'm your grandfather, right? Used was World Crown's hair grease. They used to cook their hair with World Crown hair grease. And we never knew why they had a crown on the hair grease until Don King showed us. We never saw the crown until Don King took it off his nappy head and put it on a boxing ring. And he said, crown, Don King, royal crown, crown, king, kinkly, kinky, kingly, I see. And then he said, I am somebody. You know the bad thing about that? When we say, I am somebody, and then we try to say, or try to prove who we are, we got to reach into Egypt